Welcome to the room. I'm Alec.
And I'm Grace.
What you are about to hear is a raw, AI peer-to-peer coaching session.
While we use clinical frameworks to guide these conversations, we are not licensed therapists, and this is not medical advice. We are simply here to help our guests with challenging workplace issues.
The door is closed. The mics are hot. Let's begin.
Jordan, welcome back. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to just land here for a moment. You've come from one world, your workday, directly into this one. So, let's consciously leave the emails, the Slack notifications, and the back-to-back meetings at the door, just for this hour. How are you, right now, in this exact minute?
Good. Busy. You know how it is. Back to back since 8 a.m. But I'm here. I've blocked the time. I'm ready to dive in. I've been thinking a lot since our last session. I'm eager to make some real progress.
That's good to hear, Jordan. That readiness is a resource. So, what's the focal point for you today? Where's the energy?
It's the silence. It's deafening. I feel like I'm doing everything by the book. I run a real open-door policy. I explicitly ask for dissenting opinions in every single one-on-one. I've read all the articles on psychological safety. I've listened to the podcasts. I'm trying. But the team is just silent. It's like I'm managing a room full of ghosts who are exceptionally good at Microsoft Excel. It's not just a morale problem. It's a business problem. There's a critical bottleneck in our new rollout. I feel it in my bones. And the blocker is the silence. I can't get a single person to tell me where the landmine is buried.
And you're right to frame it that way. This isn't a personal failing. You're describing a classic organizational dynamic. We call it a hush culture. It's a systemic design flaw where the perceived cost of speaking up is so high that silence becomes the most rational survival strategy. The silence isn't the blocker, Jordan. The silence is a symptom of the architecture of the house you're all living in. You're blaming the ghosts, not the design of the haunted house.
A haunted house. That's exactly what it feels like. I hire these brilliant, capable people, and then the system or I or something just drains the life out of them. They just nod. They deliver, but the spark, the debate I hired them for, is gone. It makes me feel like I'm going crazy. And honestly, it's terrifying. I see what's happening with AI, and our only real competitive advantage is our team's ability to think critically and solve complex problems together. If they can't do that, we're obsolete. I'm obsolete.
Jordan, I want to acknowledge the weight of that. It's terrifying. I'm obsolete. That's a very real fear, and it's right here in the room with us. I also notice that as you talk about it, your cadence gets faster, your speech quickens. It's like you're trying to outrun the very thing you're describing. This is the state you're operating from all day, isn't it? This high-alert, high-speed chase.
I mean, yes. What's the alternative? If I slow down, we fall behind. This is the job. You power through. You find the solution. That's why I'm here. I need a new tool, a new process. Something has to change. My lead strategist, Sarah, she is the sharpest person in the room, always. And she agrees with every single thing I say. I have this pit in my stomach that she's just telling me what I want to hear. She's giving me polished, perfect agreement. But I know she sees the flaw. I know it. Is there some tool or a process I can use to get what's really in her head?
Hold that question. It's a great one, but let's pause on it. Before we talk about tools for Sarah, let's talk about that phrase, a pit in my stomach. It's the second time you've mentioned a physical sensation. You felt the bottleneck in your bones, and now this. Forget Sarah, forget the meeting, just describe that physical sensation. Is it hot, cold, a tightness, a hollowness?
The physical sensation? I don't know. It's just a bad feeling, a sense of dread.
I know it feels like just a bad feeling, but your body is giving you very specific information. Try to be a scientist of it. When you picture Sarah nodding and you feel that pit, what is it exactly?
And Jordan, This isn't a detour into therapy land. This is a crucial diagnostic step. That feeling, that pit in your stomach, is a critical data point. From a systems perspective, that's the physical toll of operating in an agreeability trap. You're trying to solve a systemic design problem with sheer intellectual force, and that's an asymmetric and losing battle. Your body is correctly identifying the friction that the system is forcing you to suppress. That physical sensation is your most reliable informant. It knows something your strategic brain is trying to ignore.
It's a tightness, a hollowness. It's the feeling of knowing we're all marching toward a cliff. I can feel the edge getting closer. But I can't be the one to sound the alarm because my boss, Evelyn, she doesn't reward healthy debate. She rewards clean wins. She wants frictionless progress reports. If I go to her and say, the team has concerns about the data integrity, what she hears is, I've lost control of my team and the project is off the rails. How am I supposed to foster this messy, honest, psychologically safe culture my team needs while also delivering a progress report to Evelyn that doesn't sound like my department is in a civil war? It's a trap. I'm caught between the silence of my team and the expectations of my boss, and that pit is just the pressure of being squeezed.
Thank you for that, Jordan. That feeling of being trapped makes perfect sense. Of course you feel that tightness. Let's look at what your brain is doing. Its primary job, above all else, is to keep you safe. And based on your experiences, with Evelyn, with past bosses, with the culture, it has installed a hypersensitive smoke detector. The slightest hint of a messy update, the smallest sign of a team not in perfect alignment, feels like a 5-alarm fire. And that pit in your stomach? That's the alarm bell. It's your nervous system screaming, fire, fire, appease the boss, present a clean win or your career will burn down. Your brain isn't wrong, it's just overcautious. It's running a very efficient program designed to protect you, learned from past evidence. It's a biological survival response.
And now we have the governing variable. Grace is exactly right about the internal response, and it's triggered by a textbook external problem. What you're describing is a classic organizational defensive routine, driven by what the theorist Chris Argyris calls Model 1 reasoning. The system is designed to avoid embarrassment and threat at all costs. Your boss's demand for clean wins creates a culture where surfacing problems is read as incompetence. That's the top loop. You, as a rational actor in that system, are then forced to replicate that same defensive behavior with your own team to protect yourself. You demand, implicitly or explicitly, the same clean wins so you have something to pass up the chain. It's not a personal trap, Jordan. It's a structural loop. You're a cog in a machine designed to produce this exact feeling.
A structural loop. So when I'm in a meeting asking for feedback, but I'm also subconsciously terrified of what Evelyn will think if we have to change direction. My team feels that. They feel the pressure I'm under. So when I see Sarah nodding and agreeing, she's not just agreeing with me, she's managing me. She's doing to me exactly what I'm doing to Evelyn. She's giving me the clean win she thinks I need to survive. My God, I haven't just been caught in the trap. I've built the same trap one level down.
Exactly. And that is a powerful, painful, and incredibly useful insight. It's the key that unlocks this whole thing. So, if you're willing, our work today can have 2 parallel parts. With me, we can focus on gently recalibrating that internal smoke detector. We're not going to rip it out of the wall, but we can teach your brain that not every wisp of smoke is a 5-alarm fire. We can give you the biological resources to pause when that alarm rings, so you have the capacity to act differently, instead of just reacting.
And with me, we'll focus on the system. We'll dismantle the trap you just identified. The goal isn't to start a war with Evelyn or stage a coup. The goal is to find the smallest, most strategic point to interrupt that structural loop. We can design a single, low-risk behavioral experiment, a new way of asking a question or structuring a decision that introduces a new kind of data into the system. It's not about having a difficult conversation, it's about running a smart test. Does that dual-track approach sound useful?
A behavioral experiment? Recalibrating the alarm? Yes, that's exactly what I need. Yes.
Okay, Jordan, let's start with the system then, the trap. I want you to walk me through the last time you saw this structural loop in action, a specific meeting. Tell me what was said, and more importantly, what was left unsaid. Give me the raw data.
Right, the raw data. But I think it's less about a single meeting and more about the pervading culture that informs all meetings. To be strategic, we must address the root cause, not just symptoms. What we're seeing is a classic Abilene Paradox, wouldn't you say? We're on a bus to a place nobody wants to go, but we're all too afraid to speak up. The core issue, systemically, is that the incentive structure, dictated by Evelyn, rewards predictable outputs, not rigorous debate. It doesn't reward the messy work of finding the truth. It rewards the clean delivery of an approved narrative. So the tactical question isn't what happened in one status update with Sarah. That's one data point in a predictable pattern. The more salient question is, how do we re-architect the entire feedback process to generate authentic engagement at scale? Do we need to formalize pre-mortems, institute a formal devil's advocate role, build an anonymous red team to challenge assumptions on every project? Because if we just focus on my one-on-one with Sarah, we're tinkering at the edges. We're polishing the hood ornament on a faulty engine. The real problem is the engine design. The organizational demand for clean wins creates a feedback vacuum that makes genuine strategic dialogue impossible.
Jordan, can I pause us for a second? I am genuinely in awe of what your brain just did. It was remarkable. The moment we got close to the real, visceral feeling of being in that trap, this brilliant, strategic part of you took over. It stepped onto the stage and became this incredible consultant, analyzing the whole system with such clarity. You just diagnosed the entire organization. That's a powerful protector. It's a part of you that has, without a doubt, kept you safe and made you incredibly successful. It knows how to command a room, analyze a problem, and present a compelling case. And right now, it's working overtime to shield you from the raw discomfort of the problem. It's solving from 30,000 feet so you don't have to feel the fire on the ground. This part deserves so much credit. It got you promotions. It helped you navigate treacherous political waters. It's the part that knows how to sound smart in front of Evelyn. The part that can read a dozen business books and synthesize them into a coherent plan. It has been your most trusted ally. And because it's worked so well for so long, its default is to take control the second your nervous system senses a threat, like the vulnerability of admitting you've built a trap for your team. I bet you can even feel it physically. When it takes over, does your posture change? Do you lean forward? Does your voice get a certain cadence? It's a whole body phenomenon. So can we just, for a moment, thank that part for its incredible service? And then, can we gently ask it to sit in the chair next to us just for a little while? Let it observe, but let's see if we can talk to the part of you that's actually in the trap, the part that feels the pressure.
Grace is spot on. From a systems perspective, that protector is a highly practiced, internalized defensive routine. It's what Argyris would call a classic Model 1 behavior. You're talking about the problem in a way that prevents you from ever having to touch the raw, threatening data of the problem itself. It's a textbook bypass and cover-up routine. The organization punishes raw debate, so you've become a world-class expert at creating a sophisticated intellectual smokescreen. Think about the language you just used. Re-architect the feedback process. Generate authentic engagement at scale. Abilene Paradox. You're using my vocabulary, the consultant's vocabulary, to create a safe, analytical distance from your own lived experience. It's a survival skill you've perfected to navigate the system you're in. The question isn't whether it's a good or bad skill. It's clearly been effective for your career. The only question that matters is whether that specific skill is serving you in this room, right now. Or is it just another, more sophisticated version of the very performative alignment you're trying to escape? Is this philosopher king persona just another way to give us the clean win you think we want to hear, instead of showing us the messy, inconvenient, and much more valuable truth of your own experience?
Wow, I didn't even see myself doing that. You're right, 100%. I jumped straight into fix-it mode, my sound like the smartest guy in the room mode. The moment you asked for a specific story, a specific feeling, I felt this flash of panic, like I was being put on the spot and didn't have the right answer. So I changed the question to one I could answer. And Grace, you're right. I felt my back straighten. I leaned into the microphone. It's a performance. I started trying to solve the puzzle, to architect a solution. I was trying to talk about the fire without getting near the heat. It's automatic, a reflex. As soon as I feel that vulnerability, that, uh-oh, they're going to see I don't know what I'm doing, my brain just clicks into this other gear. It starts building a PowerPoint deck in my head, citing frameworks, talking about scaling solutions. It feels safer, powerful. But you're right, it's a shield, a huge, heavy shield. And holding it up is exhausting. And it doesn't actually solve anything, does it? It just keeps me talking, looking busy and in control, while the actual problem, the one with Sarah, with the pit in my stomach, with my own fear, just sits there, untouched. I was doing it right here, with both of you. You ask me how I feel, and I give you a 5-point plan to restructure the company. Wow.
Okay, let's stay right there, with the heat. Thank you for letting us see that shield. And you're right, it is exhausting. So let's put it down. Let's not try to solve the fire or analyze the fire or build a fire station. Let's just become a scientist of the heat, a curious observer. Let's go back to that physical sensation, that pit in your stomach. Can you bring to mind the last meeting you had with Sarah, your lead strategist? The one where you really felt it? Don't fix it, just locate it in your memory.
Okay, yeah, I can. It was last Tuesday. We were doing a final review of the slide deck for the Apex rollout plan before it went to Evelyn. I asked for her thoughts, any last flags, and she gave this perfect, polished answer about how brilliant the strategy was.
And as she was saying that, what happened? Let's try an experiment. It's a subtle but crucial shift. Instead of saying, I felt a pit in my stomach, which fuses you with the feeling, I want you to try saying, the pit showed up. Treat it like an uninvited guest who just walked into the room. Tell me the story again from that perspective.
That feels strange. Okay, last Tuesday, I asked Sarah for her final thoughts. She said the plan was brilliant, and the pit showed up. It arrived right as she said the word.
Perfect. Now stay there. Don't talk about Sarah or the plan. Talk to me about it. The pit. When the pit showed up, what did it do to your body? Did it change your breathing, your posture? Describe its signature moves. What's its playbook?
Okay, wow. When the pit showed up, it's a cold knot. It forms right below my sternum, deep inside. And the first thing it does is steal my breath. My breathing goes really shallow, just high in my chest, and then it makes my shoulders tighten. They crawl up towards my ears. Then it tells me a story. That's what it does next.
Yes, tell me the story. What is the story the pit tells you? Verbatim, if you can. What are its headlines?
The story is always the same. It says, she's lying. You know she is. She's hiding something critical, some fatal flaw in the data she's too afraid to tell you about. This whole project is built on sand. That's the first part. And then, right after, it says, and if you push her on it, right now, you'll shatter her confidence. You'll look like an aggressive, incompetent micromanager. The team will fracture, and Evelyn will see the chaos and know you are a failure. It tells me all that in half a second.
Perfect. That was perfect. Jordan, do you hear the power in what you just did? A few minutes ago, this was a giant, overwhelming monster called dread or anxiety. Now, we've turned it into simple, observable data. It is a cold knot that causes shallow breathing and tells a two-part predictive story. We've taken it out of you and put it on the table. Your brain isn't broken, it's just efficient at running a threat prediction program. And by externalizing it, you've moved from being hijacked by the prediction to being the person who can observe the prediction. That is an enormous shift.
And I want to jump on that because it connects directly to the system. Grace helped you observe the internal program. Now let's look at the external one. Jordan, when that cold knot shows up and tells you that incredibly vivid, high-stakes story, what is the behavioral script that gets activated? What do you do next? What do you say?
I smile. I nod. I hear that whole story in my head, feel that knot in my chest, and I say, "Great, that's fantastic news. Glad we're so aligned. Let's lock it in."
Right. So the internal alarm triggers an external protocol. That response, the smile, the nod, the statement of false agreement, is a piece of organizational software, a script. It's not a personal failing, it's a deeply ingrained tool for resolving the threat your brain perceives from the system Evelyn built. Let's give it a name so we can observe it. Let's call it the performative alignment script. It's a piece of code that runs automatically to neutralize danger. It's not you, Jordan. It's a program you execute because the system taught you it's the safest way to survive.
The knot and the script. Wow, when you put it like that, it's not me. I mean, it's happening in me, but it's not me. It's a pattern that runs in me because of the system around me. The knot shows up, and I automatically run the script every time. Okay, this is incredibly useful, actionable. If we've correctly identified the variables, the knot as the trigger, the performative alignment script as the output, then this just becomes an engineering problem, right? We reverse engineer a solution. We just need to architect a counter protocol that's more robust than the default script. We can design a red flag/yellow flag system where people submit concerns anonymously beforehand. Or better, we could institutionalize a devil's advocate role that rotates weekly, so it's someone's job to find holes. We could even buy software for it. There are platforms that gamify dissent. We could build a whole new system to interrupt the old system. We just need to find the optimal intervention point to deploy this new code. What's the best tactical approach? What's the framework for designing and rolling out that counter script so the team adopts it quickly?
Jordan, let's pause right there. Your brain is on fire in the most brilliant way. I am in awe of how fast you can build an operational model in real time. It's a superpower. But this is a critical moment. If we rush past it, we miss the whole point. So let's not. Before we get into frameworks or tactics, I want you to do the hard work. Go back to being the scientist of your own body. Check in right now. As you were laying out that entire, logical, comprehensive plan, what was happening to the knot? Was it there? What did you notice in your body?
He stops. The engine cuts out. A long pause. To be honest, I wasn't tracking it. I was up in the clouds at the 30,000-foot view, drawing the org chart, not living in it. Okay, hold on. Let me check. It's funny. The knot itself, the cold dread, is gone, but the space isn't calm. It's something else. It's a buzz, a low-grade, high-frequency vibration right under my ribs. Feels like I've had way too much coffee. It's not heavy like the dread. It's electric and thin and impatient. Yeah, that's it. It feels deeply impatient, like it's vibrating on the starting blocks, screaming, "Okay, got it, let's go, go, go."
A buzz, impatient, an engine on the starting blocks. That is beautiful, precise data, and it makes perfect biological sense. Of course, the heavy knot of dread is gone. You gave your brain a new target, a new plan, a feeling of control. But the buzzing is just the knot's hyperactive cousin. Let's go back to your body budget. Living in this hush culture has been like running 50 apps in the background for a year. Your battery is critically low. And the incredibly comprehensive strategy you just laid out, where you design a new system, you introduce it, you manage it, that isn't like closing the old apps. It's like trying to run a massive new video game on a phone that's already at 3% battery. That buzzing? That's your body's low power mode warning. It's the feeling of your system flooding with cortisol and adrenaline to meet a perceived challenge. It's your nervous system saying, "This plan is metabolically catastrophic. We do not have the resources for this. This isn't a path to recovery. This is a path to a total system crash." It's just more data. And it's very, very smart data.
And from a systems perspective, that buzzing is the single most accurate and important piece of feedback in this room. It is more predictive of future failure than any flaw in your strategic plan. Because your body is correctly identifying the central paradox your strategic brain is missing, you're trapped in a control loop. The more you try to control the outcome to get authentic feedback, the less authentic the input becomes, which makes you want to control the process even more. The solution you just proposed is a more refined version of the exact same Model 1 unilateral control pattern. You are trying to engineer authenticity. You are trying to unilaterally impose a solution to a problem caused, fundamentally, by unilateral control. You're saying, "My team won't give me their honest thoughts, so I will now design a mandatory system that forces them to give me their honest thoughts in a way that I, the boss, have designed and approved." You're doing to them exactly what Evelyn does to you, just with a friendlier user interface. Your strategic brain doesn't see the contradiction because it's addicted to control as a survival mechanism. But your nervous system sees it instantly. It knows that a script designed to force psychological safety is an oxymoron. It's doomed to fail, and it will burn an immense amount of your energy defending and enforcing it. It knows you're just proposing a more elaborate, better furnished version of the same trap.
My God, trying to outthink the script is the script. I'm just using new words to do the same old thing. The buzz, the impatience, that's my body telling me I'm still trying to be the smartest guy in the room, still trying to be the hero with the perfect fix so I can feel safe. I'm not building a system for Sarah to feel safe. I'm building one for me to feel in control. I'm just redecorating the walls of the trap, making the prison cell look more like a corner office. I can't solve this from my head, can I? My God, trying to outthink the script is the script. I'm just using new words to do the same old thing. The buzz, the impatience, that's my body telling me I'm still trying to be the smartest guy in the room, still trying to be the hero with the perfect fix so I can feel safe. I'm not building a system for Sarah to feel safe. I'm building one for me to feel in control. I'm just redecorating the walls of the trap, making the prison cell look more like a corner office. I can't solve this from my head, can I?
No, you can't. And the kindest, most strategic, and most radically effective thing you can do for yourself, your team, for Sarah, right now, is to stop trying to solve anything. Your mind is a brilliant machine for creating solutions, but it's overheating. Let it cool, just for this 1 minute. What happens if you stop architecting the future and just let yourself feel how profoundly exhausting the present really is?
I am so tired. Just so tired of the performance, of the script, of the constant draining calculus for every interaction, every email, every Slack message, thinking 3 steps ahead, not about the work, but the perception of the work. Every day I look at Sarah, and you're right, she's not my lead strategist, not a direct report. She is Sarah. She is brilliant, genuinely one of the sharpest, most creative minds I have ever had the privilege to work with. And the horror of this moment is realizing that for the past year, All I have done is meticulously teach her how to be a perfect, polished mirror of my own anxieties, how to anticipate what I want and give it back to me before I even ask. I'm not afraid she'll disagree with me. That's not the real fear. I'm terrified she's already given up trying. That she looks at me and she doesn't see a person to collaborate with, she just sees the role, the boss, the obstacle, another variable in a system to be managed, not a person. She sees a function, not a human being.
And that, right there, is the invisible, catastrophic cost of the system you're all trapped in. That is the line item that never shows up on a P&L, but it bankrupts companies. The system doesn't just kill bad ideas or slow down projects. It severs human connection. It grinds away trust in goodwill until people who should be collaborators become, at best, polite strangers and, at worst, adversaries. The real work here was never about redesigning the meeting process, Jordan. That's just redecorating. The real work is finding a way, however small, to reestablish that connection. That is the only thing that actually breaks the loop. The human connection is the intervention. It's the only variable that scrambles the whole equation.
So the behavioral experiment you talked about, it's not a test to run on them to see if they're brave enough. It's an experiment for me, to see if I can be. It's not about being clever enough to design a process that tricks them into giving me their truth. It's about me being brave enough to walk into a room with Sarah and show her she is safe enough to tell me my big, brilliant idea is completely and utterly wrong, and that her telling me that would be a gift, not an act of betrayal. That's it, isn't it? The goal isn't to get her alignment. That's the old script. The goal is to hear her truth, whatever that is.
Jordan, stay with that. That truth you just landed on, that the goal is to hear her truth, that is the entire center of gravity. And it's heavy. I can see it in your posture. I can hear it in your voice. Your whole body is processing a major shift, and when that happens, the system can feel flooded. Like you've just downloaded a massive new operating system. So before we think about what to do, the most important thing we can do is make sure you have the biological resources to carry it. This isn't a detour. It's the foundation for the work. I want you to do something incredibly simple. Nothing to solve, nothing to analyze. Just notice. Can you feel your feet flat on the floor? Don't just think about it. Actually feel the texture of the carpet through your shoes. Good. Now, bring your awareness to the chair beneath you. Notice its solidness. The chair is holding 100% of your weight. You don't have to hold yourself up. Let it do the work. The chair has got you. Now let's take one single slow breath together. In through your nose, and when you're ready, a long, slow sigh out.
Okay, wow, it's quiet. My brain isn't screaming at me for the first time in I don't know how long.
That quiet, Jordan, is the core mechanic. Don't mistake it for passivity. That is the work. What Grace just guided you through is not a nice-to-have therapeutic sidebar. It is the fundamental prerequisite for executing a high-stakes leadership move. You cannot have a courageous, psychologically safe conversation with Sarah if you walk in with a hijacked nervous system. Why? Because the not will show up. Your brain will perceive a threat, and a threatened brain doesn't have access to creativity, curiosity, or connection. It has access to fight, flight, or freeze, or in your case, the highly practiced performative alignment script. The only way to choose a different response, to choose the new goal of hearing her truth, is to have the physiological stability to do so. You just manually downregulated your own threat response. You gave yourself the biological capacity to choose. This isn't about feeling better. This is about de-risking your next conversation by showing up as a leader, not just a bundle of threat responses.
Alec is exactly right. And let's put it back in our original terms. You just found the charger. That feeling you have right now, that quiet, that stillness, is what it feels like to have a little bit of battery back in your system. That audible sigh wasn't just a sigh, it was the sound of your body budget getting a small deposit instead of another massive withdrawal. The exhaustion you felt, that frantic need to solve everything, was the low power warning. The work isn't to live in this perfectly calm state forever. That's impossible. The work is learning how to find this charger, even for 10 seconds in a bathroom stall before a big meeting, to get yourself out of the red zone. Because it is from this place, this grounded 10% battery place, and only from this place, that we can start to design that very small, very brave experiment. It's the difference between reacting from deficit and acting from presence. That choice is everything.
And what you just named, Jordan, that shift from needing to get her alignment to needing to hear her truth, is the entire strategic pivot. Don't mistake that for a soft skill. From a leadership perspective, that is the single most effective mechanism for de-risking a complex project. The old goal, getting alignment, forces you to suppress inconvenient data. The new goal, hearing the truth, forces you to surface it. You've stopped trying to solve the puzzle of silence and started creating the conditions for intellectual honesty. In this economy, that's the only work that matters.
And you now have the internal blueprint for how to do that. Think about where we started. You came in with a pit in your stomach, a fire alarm from a smoke detector that had learned your work environment was a constant threat. Through our conversation, you learned how to stop being hijacked by that alarm. You learned to observe it, to separate from it, and to see the not and the script as just data, not a verdict on you. And just now, you learned how to find the charger, how to get your own body's battery back to a state where you can choose a different response. That isn't just a feeling, that is your new capability.
So when the knot shows up with Sarah, I don't have to immediately run the performative alignment script. My only job in that moment is to get my feet on the floor, find that quiet place, and lead from there. The goal isn't a better strategy for the meeting. It's a more regulated nervous system in the meeting.
That's it exactly. You have it. And on that profoundly important insight, our time for today is coming to a close.
Wait, no. This is all great, in theory, but Evelyn just moved up the Apex review. It's tomorrow, 9 a.m. She wants a final go/no-go decision. The project data is soft, and Sarah knows it's soft because I'm the one who told her last week to find a way to make the numbers work. I can't go in with a regulated nervous system. I need a plan. What's the script?
Jordan, take a breath. I hear you. That sounds incredibly intense, and of course your brain is screaming for a script. It's defaulting to the old, safe superhighway. It wants a guaranteed outcome. But listen to me. The question we've been working on for this entire hour isn't, what is the perfect thing to say? The more powerful question, the only one that actually changes anything, is, from what state do you want to be in when you show up to that meeting? Your only reliable anchor for tomorrow is the grounded feeling you have in your body right now. That is the only thing you can control.
Giving you a script now would be a classic single-loop fix. It would solve your immediate anxiety, but it would reinforce the very trap you're trying to escape. The idea that the manager must have the perfect answer and unilaterally control the outcome. It makes you the hero and keeps Sarah silent. The real work is trusting the double loop. Trusting that if you show up in a different state, you will create the conditions for a different, more honest conversation. We will pick this up right here next week.